It is time to bring out your brackets. It's time to beat your office or your work. It's time to beat your friends, your family members. It's time to talk crap about teams that you have no idea a single player on their team or even their mascot. That's the great thing about this is sometimes you don't even need to watch basketball to do well. You could just pick teams based off their freaking jersey colors or their mascot. Maybe you like cats, so take all of the Wildcats or Bulldogs, you know what I mean? Or you just blindly flip a coin for each round. Who knows? But I do have some data that we can go over, chat. I got some data, so we'll get into the data right here. Hope everybody's Monday's treating you well. All right, so here is the bracket tips. Similar to last year, I've updated it with last year's data, right? But it's same sort of tips. Number one, advance one first four team to the round of 32. The first four began in 2011. And with the exception of 2019, at least one team that played in Dayton advanced to the round of 32. That means they won 2 games. So last year we had Colorado. The year before we had Fairleigh Dickinson pulled off that magical upset over Purdue. We had Pitt in 2023 as well, so we had 2 that year. Notre Dame, 2022. We have UCLA, 2021. They went all the way to the Final Four. Syracuse made a big run, Sweet 16, 2018. 2017, USC. 2016, Wichita State. 2015, Dayton. 2014, we had Tennessee made it all the way to Sweet 16 from it. 2013, magical ride for LaSalle all the way to Sweet 16. South Florida in 2012, and in the first year, VCU went all the way to the Final Four. So we've had 2 Final Four come out of the first 4, which begins tomorrow. So pay attention to one of those teams that plays either tomorrow or Wednesday. The brackets don't officially close till Thursday, so you technically don't need to fill out that part of the bracket yet. But pay attention, one of those teams usually wins again. All right, number 2. Don't predict a 16 over a 1 upset, chat. I know you want to be that person that's like, oh, I picked Fair Dick to beat Purdue. Well, I know it's a great feeling, but listen, it doesn't happen very often. It's only happened twice ever. 1 seeds are 154-2 against 16s. And it didn't happen until recently with UMBC in 2018. And then Fair Dick did it in 2023. The average margin of victory for 1 seeds in these games is 24.7 points. They're not even close. There might be one team that gets a little scare, maybe first half or so. But there's been more 1 versus 16 matchups decided by 40-plus points than single digits. I mean, that's saying something. So just don't do it. Don't pick a 16 over 1. And right as I'm saying that, I'm sure Bailey is probably filling out a 16 right now. And she'll brag about it because it'll hit. Because she had the Peacocks that one year. All right, number 3 bracket tip. Predict at least 1 12 over 5 upset. It is always a trendy thing to do, and there's data behind it. Since the NCAA Tournament expanded to 64 teams in 1985, there have been 55 12 over 5 upsets. That's an average of 1.4 per year. It's really about 1.41 if you want to get into the weeds on the numbers. Historically, is more than twice as likely that there will be multiple such upsets, which has happened 17 times, than none, which has only happened 6 times. So you probably want to pick 1 12, but I mean, picking 2 is not too bad either. I mean, it's happened 17 times, so there you go. Always pick at least 1. Bugatti Bailey, and I was going to pick Duquesne, but you said no. Oh, yeah, that was last year. I got in trouble to sleep on the couch for that one. Yeah, I did say that. I thought BYU was a good sleeper pick, but yeah, I lost that one. All right, number 4 bracket tip. Eliminate at least one number 2 seed prior to the Sweet 16. Now, listen, I know what you're saying. Last year, that didn't happen. Every single 2 made it to the Sweet 16 last year. Well, that was a rare case. They don't make it to the second weekend of the tournament at a much lower rate than 1 seeds do. It's only 63%, where 1 seeds are 84%. Since seeding began in 1979, all 4 2s have reached Sweet 16 only 7 out of 45 years. That's not very, very often. So you probably want to pick one to fall. This year, that's hard because the 1s and 2s are very strong this year. So the number 2 seeds, how have they done in the Sweet 16? All 4, like I've said, made it 7 times. 3 of the 4 have made it 14 times. But the most common thing to happen is only 2 of the 4 2 seeds make it to the Sweet 16, and that's happened 21 times. Where only 1 makes it, that's pretty unlikely. That's only happened 3 times. 0 2 seeds has never happened, so don't do that either. You don't want to have all your 2 seeds gone. I mean, I guess there's a first time for everything, but I wouldn't predict something that's never happened before. So I would pick, this year, I would probably pick 1 2 seed to lose before the Sweet 16. But obviously your highest odds is picking 2. But I don't know about this year. Maybe pick 1. A little Army, how we doing? I picked them to beat Purdue. They always lose. Oh, yeah. I mean, fading Purdue is common in the tournament, it seems. I probably am doing that this year. More to come on that later. Number 5 bracket tip. Advance at least 1 double-digit seed to the Sweet 16. Identifying who the Cinderella might be in a given year is always challenging, but one nearly always winds up dancing through that first weekend. Since 1979, hopefully you guys can read this. Let me know if I need to crank it up a notch for the mobile users. Since 1979, a double-digit seed has advanced to the Sweet 16 in 41 of 45 years, including each of the past 16. There's always a Cinderella dancing, so it's a good decision to pick at least one, most commonly a 10, 11, or 12 to do it. But there's 13 has happened before, and 14 a few times. I think Chattanooga did it as a 14, 1997. And a 15's only done it, I think, 3 times. So that's really rare. 16's never done, obviously. Kamikaze Mad Max. Has anyone told you that you're too sexy for this stream? Well, not until now, Kamikaze Mad Max. I appreciate the compliment there. Man, I don't know what to say other than to put on some sax, right? For that compliment. Holy smokes. Getting me all turned hot and bothered right now. I appreciate that. Oh, man. I might need a cold shower after this song is finished. Anyways, so double-digit seeds to the Sweet 16. 5 times. It's happened 1 time. That was a chaotic year. Chaos. 5 double-digit seeds 1 time. I think I know what year that was, too. 4 teams. It's happened 3 times. 3 double-digit seeds has happened 13 times, so that's a very common thing to happen. 9 times has had 2 double-digit seeds, but the most common is 1. 15 years, we've seen 1 double-digit seed. 0 of them, only 4 times, so I would probably stay away from that. I'd probably stay away from the 5 or the 0. But if you like chaos, I love you for it. Go for it. But in average, 2 teams that are seeded 10 or higher, they make it to the Sweet 16. Number 6 bracket tip. Advance at least 1 team seeded 5 or lower to the Elite 8. There is always an unexpected team or 2 remaining by the end of the tournament's second weekend. Since 1979, at least one team seeded 5th or lower has advanced to the Elite Eight in 42 of 45 years. There's always a darling left. The 5 seeds or lower in Elite Eight. It's happened 5 teams, one time. That was just the year of chaos. That was probably the same year as the double-digit one earlier. I think that was the year Butler and VCU were in the Final Four. Comments. How are you, bud? How's life treating you? And hope you guys are safe after last week. We're good. Hope you're safe, too. We actually got pretty lucky with the storms. It didn't hit us. Didn't affect us that much. Obviously, high wind and rain, but we were good. There was a tornadic activity, I guess, maybe a half hour from us to 45 minutes from us, but it never had anything touch down. It was just, spiraling clouds. But yeah, we were good. Hopefully you were too. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. So 4 teams seeded 5 or lower has happened 5 times. Now we're to the more common stuff. 3 teams, so we're talking like a 5, a 6, and maybe a 10 or something, has happened 8 times. 2 of them, 13 times, and the most common, 1 team, 1 Elite 8 team seeded 5 or lower, 15 times. 0, where there's none, it's all chalk. That only has happened 3 times. One of those definitely 2012, where literally it was just chalk city. All ones made it to the Final Four. And that's only happened 1 time. So on average, you got 2 teams that are anywhere from 5 to 16. Well, really, you can say 5 to 15 that have made it to the Elite 8. So you probably want to pick 1 sleeper out there. All around me, but not here. North part of the state got absolutely hammered. 2 confirmed EF4s. Oh, wow. 1 could have been upgraded to EF5. Dang, I'm glad it didn't hit you. It was some crazy stuff, man. I was catching the news a little bit on it, and I was really hoping that we'd be all right with that. But, man, some states didn't get so lucky. Sorry to hear about families that weren't so lucky. U.S. just, we get just absolutely crapped on with weather, don't we? We get hurricanes, we get tornadoes, we get forest fires, we get winter storms. We get it all, really. Not every country can say that. We get hammered, though. All right, bracket tip number 7. Do not advance a double-digit seed to the Final Four. I know what you're thinking. It happened last year, right? But it's just too infrequent to take that chance. Since 1979, there have been 1,100, and this actually needs to be 99 teams to play. No, that's too many nines. Teams to play a tournament game seeded 10th or lower. 7 of them reached the Final Four. Actually, this needs to be an 8 because I forgot NC State last year. There you go. It happened only once from 1979 to 2005, but 6 times since. So it's becoming more common. We had VCU, we had George Mason, we had NC State, and then we had UCLA. We've had it, and I think Syracuse did too. So we've had it a lot recently, but it didn't happen at all in the old days when they started advancing the tournament to more teams. So, yeah, it's too big of a risk to do. I like to do it personally. I had FAU in the Final Four 2 years ago, and they did make it to the Final Four. But I do think it is pretty big risk to do 11 or a 10 or a 12 to the Final Four. I would probably stop them at the Elite 8. All right, bracket tip number 8. Advance no more than 2 teams from the same conference to the Final Four. I mean, that's just kind of covering your bases, right? Because there's so many conferences out there, but there are fewer now that the Pac-12 has taken a rest for at least a few years. But it's just there's too many conferences out there for you to do that. So since 1979, only once has a conference sent 3 teams in the Final Four. And that was, of course, the Big East, the mighty Big East. In 1985, they had St. John's, Georgetown, Villanova, and Villanova beat Georgetown in that final. That was one of the best Cinderella stories of all time. Villanova, an 8 seed. But don't be afraid to double up. There are 24 instances in which a conference has sent 2 teams to the Final Four. This year we could see that with the SEC. Maybe even the Big 12, but probably more likely the SEC gets 2. More over another conference, right? I think Arkansas could possibly be a Cinderella this year. I actually think they have good chances to win one game for sure. They definitely will give St. John's a run for their money. They are getting hot at the right time. Are they going to get Thero and Flan back from injury is the question. Also, I don't know if you know, in better news, I got the pilot's license. Hell yeah. Glad to hear that, Kamikaze Mad Max. That's great news. So when are you going to fly me to Peru? I want to go there. Number 9 bracket tip. Pick a number 1 seed to win the championship. Don't overthink this one. Since 1979, 27 of the 45 national champs have been 1 seed, so 60%. A 5 seed's never done it, so keep that in mind. Here's your national champs by seed. 1 seed, 27. 2, 7 times. 3 seed, 5 times. 4 seed, only twice. 5, never. 6, twice. 7 seed, once. 8 seed, once. And nobody seeded 9th through 16 has ever won a title. Bracket tip number 10. We're almost done here. Don't pick UConn to do it. UConn, the 2023 and 2024 national champions, has history working against them. UCLA won 7 consecutive titles, but since then, we've only had repeat winners twice. No, I guess 3 times now. Duke, Florida, and UConn. UConn would be a 3-peat, so I wouldn't do it. History just doesn't like that to happen. And 11, know your seed win percentage. 1s, 154 and 2. 2s, 145 and 11, but it's not impossible. 3s, now we're getting a little more likely here. 14s won 23 times. The 3s won 133. The 4s, now we're getting there a little bit. 33 wins for the 13s. The 12s, as we mentioned, 1 to 2 times a year, on average twice. 55 wins against the 5. Now, last year, the 11s won 3 times. They went 3-1, whereas the 6 only won once last year. The 11s have become hot lately. The last, I'd say, 6 or 7 years, 11s are a dangerous seed. They've won 61 times. More than the 10s, which is remarkable if you think about it, because 10's a better seed. 10s have won 60 times, and the 9 actually has a winning record over the 8, but that's basically a coin flip. But for some reason, the 9s have a winning record. And a final piece of advice, pick your champ wisely. The last 16 champs have had an offensive efficiency in the top 40, and the defensive efficiency in the top 20 of KenPom. So you might want to look that up and find out, okay, who can I eliminate as a possible champ here? 7 of the last 10 champs were at-large bids, which that's interesting. Last year, UConn did win the Big East, so they weren't an at-large bid, and they did win the championship. But 7 of the last 10 champs were at-large bids, so find out who those are. Tennessee is one of those. Duke's not. Florida's not. Auburn is an at-large bid. So there's a couple examples there. But yeah, there is the tips. Now let's get into the bracket, shall we? Let's fill out some. I'm going to get caught up on chat here. Once I get a Bear Airplane, you'll do it? Oh, nice. I'd love it. Also, I think from the Big 12, I really think Houston and Texas Tech have the best chance to make the Final Four. I really like Houston's chances this year, too. I'm not as big on Texas Tech just because of their matchups. I was higher on them before I saw the bracket. So, yeah. I do like Houston, though. All right, let's get into it. So, let's fill out one bracket. This bracket is going to be what I consider a safe bracket. But we'll try to do all of the rules if possible here. So I mentioned don't do any 16s. So here we go. We're just going to flat out do the ones. Now, the 2s, still too unlikely for me to do it. I will say, though, Bryant and Wofford, they got a lot of talent. So it wouldn't shock me, as talented as the 2 seeds are, that those two give the 2s a fight. Maybe even Bob Morris, if they get hot from 3. I don't think Omaha will beat St. John's. So we got that out of the way. Now, the 14s, I try not to do a 14 seed too, just because it's still kind of uncommon. But I will say this. Don't do Montana. I just don't see it happening. If you're going to pick a 14, don't do Montana. And don't do UNC Wilmington. I love this UNC Wilmington team, but they got a terrible matchup. They score a lot of points, but I just think Texas Tech is going to smother them. If Wilmington had gotten Kentucky, I might have taken them. But I'm not going to against Texas Tech. So if there is a 14 seed out there that you want to maybe take a chance on, I think your best bets are Lipscomb and Troy. Now, the spread of Troy and Kentucky is quite interesting. It's only 10.5. Why is it so low? The men in the desert in Vegas know something. So possibly they might be able to do it against Kentucky, but I'm going to go ahead and pick all 3s here. So now I'm just going to flat out get into each region now that we kind of took care of a couple of rules there, Texas Tech, if they get hot, could be a dark horse from 3 seed. Yes, I do agree with that. At 2021, when they were one of the hottest teams, made the final in a couple of seconds from winning it. Yeah, and I will say Chris Beard, I like him as a coach better than what's his guy's last name? Grant McCanslin or something like that. I know his first name is Grant, but I just like Chris Beard better as a coach for making a run. So that was I also picked Texas Tech that year to kind of make a run as well. Okay, so Louisville, Creighton. I kind of lean Louisville here, but Creighton, their coach has more tournament experience, and Kalkbrenner is 7'3", 7'1". He's huge. But I like this Louisville team. So this is kind of a tough one for me. I kind of lean with Louisville just because they're underseeded. I thought Louisville would get a 6 seed. But you could honestly flip a coin on this one. But I'm going to go with Louisville here. Michigan, San Diego State. I like San Diego. I love this UC San Diego Triton team. And so do the odds makers. They're only a 3-point underdog right now. Somebody knows something. I've seen this Cal San Diego team play. They light it up from 3. There's 2 things that a darling in the tournament often have. Great defense, and they're great from shooting threes. This team has both. So watch out for them. I'm going to pick my first upset and go with the Tritons. Now, I also kind of like Yale here, but this is a safe bracket, so I'm not going to pick too many upsets. On average, you want about 8 on a bracket. So let's just keep 1 for now. I'll go Texas A&M, but it's going to be close. And Ole Miss, North Carolina. I kind of want to see who comes out of the San Diego State, North Carolina game. Now, I didn't have North Carolina making the tournament. I don't think they deserve to be in, but guess what? Every year, the team that is discussed about, oh, this team doesn't belong in the tournament. They're trash. What are they doing in the tournament? They should be in the NIT. That team always wins. They always do because they use that fuel as fuel to make a run. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit if North Carolina beat San Diego State here and beats Ole Miss. But I like Chris Beard. I like his defense, so I'm going to go Ole Miss here. Marquette, North Carolina. This is a tough one for me because I like New Mexico. I just think it's a tough matchup. Two good coaches. This is kind of a coin flip, to be honest. But if Donovan Dent goes off, man, it's I could see New Mexico doing this. But on this bracket, I'm going to go Marquette. I do like Michigan State beating Marquette. It's Tom Izzo. He wins in March. He is one of the greatest March coaches. So we're going with Michigan State. I like Auburn to beat Louisville, but I'll tell you what, if you fill out like 10 brackets, you better have one where Louisville does beat Auburn. Or even one where Creighton beats Auburn, because they both can do it, as talented as Auburn is. So I got Auburn there. I'm going to go ahead and take the Tritons to the Sweet 16. Another upset. So there's two. I'm going to go Iowa State here, but I don't like it. I think Michigan State blasts them, though, to get by, and then we'll go Auburn here. So we got 1 and 2 in that region meeting in the Elite Eight. So we'll go down to the West here and go to the comments. He was a good coach. Then he went to Texas and turned into a whole. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Oh, you don't like Chris Beard? I like that. I just like his toughness and the defense he runs. No, I don't. I think Michigan State was supposed to be a 2. Yeah, I thought that was accurate for sure. Okay, West. We already got Florida there. UConn, Oklahoma. I like UConn here. They are favored by 4.5. I thought Oklahoma should have been a 10, so I think they're overvalued here. So I'm going to go UConn. More coaching experience. I know Porter Moser on Oklahoma took Loyola Chicago on a couple of runs. But, I mean, Dan Hurley's got back-to-back natties, so I'm going UConn. Colorado State, Memphis. So Memphis is really talented. It's just a bad matchup. I think if Memphis had McNeese, I would go Memphis here. But its Colorado State team is really hot. I mean, they've won, 8 in a row? They just won the Mountain West. That's a tough league. I'm going to go Colorado State. They're favored right now. They're favored by 3 in that matchup. Grand Canyon, Maryland. I like Grand Canyon a lot. I think this is going to be a close game. I think Grand Canyon covers, but Maryland has they call them the Crab Five. They got 4 NBA players, so I'm not going to go against that, and I'm going to go Maryland again. And Florida gets by UConn. Florida is huge. They're just too much for UConn. That's when their ride ends. I like Drake over Missouri. Another upset here. And we already got Texas Tech there. And I'm going to go Calipari. Well, this is a safe bracket. I guess we do got to get a 10 in there. So I'm going to go Arkansas. We'll go St. John's, the Calipari, Patino, Italian matchup we all want to see, but I think Patino prevails. And I'm going to go Drake over Texas Tech. But I'm going to go St. John's ends that. Florida over Maryland here. Actually, you know what? We do need kind of a dark horse, don't we? So I'm going to go Maryland in this bracket to go to the Elite Eight. We do need a dark horse here. I'm going to go Baylor over Mississippi State. Coin flip, but I think Baylor wins that game. Hey, Sabotage Casey, how we doing? You going real safe on this bracket? Oh, I wouldn't say that. I got UC San Diego to the Sweet 16. And I got Drake, Sweet 16, and Colorado State. I got 4 or 5. I got 5 upsets already. Arkansas, it's not too bad. This is my safe bracket, though. We'll do a chaos bracket later. All right, so let's go up here. So we got Baylor and Duke, and Duke's going to beat Baylor. Now, I like this Liberty team. I think it's a bad matchup, though, because Dana Altman has never lost in the first round as a coach at Oregon. He just knows how to do it. But Liberty is really good at shooting threes. So if they get hot, I could I could see them beating Oregon, but I just think Oregon, because they have a couple of NBA guys on that team, Nate, and too much size, really. Liberty's kind of a shorter team. I think the length of Oregon's going to bother them, so I'm going to go Oregon here. Akron, Arizona, the first team to 90 wins this game. Both teams score a lot, no defense, quick tempo. Akron's really good, but I think I like Arizona here. And the old classic Pac-12 matchup here, Oregon, Arizona. I'm going to go with the Ducks here, but that is a coin flip. Loser bracket, Kamikaze Mad Max says. Boo, Tech ruins Drake. We'll see. Drake, a lot of people don't know, Drake's not far from home in this matchup. This is in, I think this is in Wichita, Kansas. And where's Drake? That is in Des Moines, Iowa. Not too far away. All right, so back to the region here. I like VCU over BYU. I got a VCU shirt, and I think they're really good. They suffocate you on defense. I really like BYU. I mean, if BYU was over here as a 6, I might have them beating Iowa State. I might have them going to the Sweet 16, but BYU got the worst possible matchup they could ever dream of. Down here, I would have done the same thing. BYU over this game and then beaten Kentucky. But they got a bad matchup. Why is it a bad matchup? BYU shoots a lot of threes. They score. They don't play great defense. They also play fast. VCU plays slow, and they play outstanding defense. What's their best defense, you ask? Against the 3, which is what BYU does. So that is a bad matchup there. So I like VCU to beat BYU. And even though that's an altitude too. So this is in Denver. BYU's used to altitude. That's the only thing that bothers me about picking against that. Because VCU, that's Richmond, Virginia. They don't have altitude there. But we'll see. I think it's too much. And I like St. Mary's to beat Vanderbilt, even though Vanderbilt, I do like what they did in the SEC this year. All right, so I am going to go, since we already have 2 double digits in the Sweet 16, I'm not going to add a third. That's considered a little bit too risky. On my risk-taking bracket, I will have 3. But I'm only have 2 on my safe bracket here. So we'll go with Wisconsin, just to keep it safe. And but I am going to have a sleeper here. I'm going to have St. Mary's knocking off the first 2 seed. They're going to beat Alabama. Alabama plays fast. They score like 90 points a game. They are going to be very uncomfortable playing St. Mary's. St. Mary's likes to live in the 50s and 60s. They play top 10 defense. They also are very efficient on offense. They just limit your possessions. So you don't see them score that much, but they are very good at their field goal percentage. I also think they're a pretty senior Latin team. They're pissed off from last year's early exit. So I think they can beat Bama here. Bama relies too much on the 3. So we'll see what happens here. I got to pick a sleeper, and I like to pick 1-2 seed to drop early. And so I'm going to pick Bama to be that team this year, even though they're really talented. So we're going to go St. Mary's here as a sleeper. And I'm going to go St. Mary's again to the Elite 8. So there is your first Elite 8 team seated lower than 5. You always want to pick 1. So there it is. It's St. Mary's. And I'm going to go Duke over Oregon. Duke's got the best player in the nation. I mean, you can't really beat that. So, and then St. Mary's magical ride ends with Duke. All right, Houston. We already got them in. So Gonzaga, Georgia. I like Gonzaga here. I think Gonzaga could have been a 6 seed, so I think that was kind of disrespectful. Georgia's good. Had they played a different 8, I probably would have picked them. But Gonzaga's not an 8, they're a 6, so I'm picking Gonzaga here. Now, I do think of all of the 1-8 matchups, this is probably one of the most dangerous ones. Gonzaga could beat Houston here. They could. I know their record isn't as good as it normally is, but all of their losses this year were like by less than 5 points. They still got a ton of talent. But I'm going to pick Houston here, but we're talking like a 3-point game. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to pick Gonzaga there. Let's see. Comments. Yeah, but it's not far from Texas. That is true. Yeah, it's just add a couple more hours, maybe a couple-hour drive, and Texas Tech's not too far from Wichita as well. You're right on that. So I do think they're going to have plenty of fans, though, because it's, Wichita is pretty close to Drake. It's only about an hour and a half difference, you think? Okay. Well, yeah, I was pretty close. I was going to think 2 hours would have been my guess. All right, so Clemson, McNeese. McNeese is good, but I think Will Wade might have already found a new job, and I don't know if he's told his team yet or not. He probably didn't, but I don't know. Is he going to care? Like, if he's leaving? I don't know. He probably will, but that's a factor that I need to consider. I also kind of factor out Drake, too. I imagine people have been calling him. I guarantee Indiana job that opened up, the Iowa job opened up. They probably reached out to Drake's coach, too, and that worries me a little bit. But I just think Clemson is pretty good. There might be one of the best 5 seeds, so I'm going to go Clemson here. I already got 2 12s anyway. Going to lurk. I appreciate the lurk, Kamikaze. Have a good one, brother. Purdue High Point. I haven't picked a 13 yet, but I think because this is my safe bracket, I'm going to keep Purdue in, but on my not safe bracket, I'm picking High Point. I like High Point, and I'm going to pick them against the spread too. I'm going to go, but I am going to take Clemson here over Purdue. I actually kind of leaning towards you got to pick a first 4 winner. So I'm kind of leaning towards using it here, but we already have a couple of 11s that have won. Yeah, we already got VCU out there. We already got Drake. So I'm going to keep Illinois in here for now. UCLA, Utah State. This is a coin flip. Utah State can get hot from downtown. UCLA is really good. You could really go either way here, but I'm going to take UCLA, and then we'll take Tennessee. I'm going to go with Illinois this time. I don't think Kentucky, I just not big on them right now. And they got some injury issues, so I got Illinois over Kentucky. And I like Houston. And we'll take Tennessee here. And I'm actually going to go Houston to the Final Four. And they're in San Antonio. Now, you do want to have at least a couple 1 seeds in your Final Four because they do make it more often than not. And obviously a 1 to cut down the nets, too. I'm going to go Michigan State over Auburn. And we will go Maryland down here as a 4. And I'm going to go Michigan State plays Duke. And Duke cuts down the nets because they have the best player. So there you go. There's bracket number 1. I don't need to opt in for that. Okay, so let's go to bracket number 2. Why does it say I filled out 2? That's weird. Okay, so let's go back to the pool that I'm in here. And let's make another one. Create new bracket, yes. Okay, this is going to be a long shot bracket, all right? So there's going to be a little more risk-taking involved. I thought Kendrick killed Drake. Well, I think this is Drake's year basketball-wise. They've had good teams and been upset recently. I think this is their year. All right, so once again, you don't want to pick any 16, so I'm going to do 1s here just because, yeah, that's too big of a risk. I'm going to do all the 2s because I don't see it happening this year. Okay, so we got that rule taken care of. Now we need to have some chaos here. Now, I think it's always a good idea if you fill out multiple brackets to split the 8-9 matchups. So we did Louisville on that one, so I'm going to go Creighton. And then Baylor we did on that one, so I'm going to go Mississippi State this time. I still like Gonzaga here, so I'm going to go Gonzaga. And I still like UConn there, but I am splitting the ones up there. All right, so Michigan, UC San Diego. Do I still like UC San Diego, you ask? Yes, I do. I do. But I'm going to tell you this right now, chat. I am going to fill out 5 brackets because my pool allows up to 5, and it's a big pool, so you do want to use the 5. I'm going to have one bracket where I do send Michigan all the way to the Elite 8. I'm going to do it. But what I think is the most common thing to happen is UC San Diego beats him. But you got to throw one bracket in there where Michigan does make a run. I'm going to do Auburn there. I'm going to have Yale here. Yale beating Texas A&M. And then we'll go with the Tritons to the Sweet 16 again. I think this time we see the angry North Carolina team wake up and they beat Ole Miss and San Diego State. Now here's where it gets really weird. We go Lipscomb beating Iowa State as a 14. And so I'm going to go North Carolina again. We're going Marquette here, and I'm going to go Michigan State all the way again. They do play Auburn, and I'm going to go Auburn this time. You got to have a little bit of safety for your long shot bracket. I'm going to go. I do like Grand Canyon. I'll probably have them in 1 out of 5 beating Maryland, but I think they're too. It's just a bad matchup with Maryland, so I'm going to go Maryland there. I'm going to keep Colorado State, and we'll go Maryland. And I do like Florida here again. I think Florida might be one of the best teams in the country. Let's ride it. Keep riding it with Drake. We'll go Texas Tech. I'm going to go Kansas this time instead of Arkansas. And I'm going to send the Johnnies over to the Sweet 16. We already had Drake make Sweet 16 once, so on this one I'm actually going to utilize Texas Tech. And we'll have Texas Tech beat St. John's. So, yeah, we got Florida, Maryland. I'm going to go Florida. And we'll come back to that pick later. I want to see what happens over here. Now, this is the chaos bracket. So you got to go Utah State. And I might have them beat Tennessee here, but let's see what happens with the other picks. We'll go Illinois here, and we'll go Kentucky. Here's where it gets weird. We go in High Point beating Purdue. But High Point's probably, them and Grand Canyon, the best 13 seeds. We'll go Clemson. We got to get a 5 in there somewhere. I could see High Point and beating them, though, so I'm going to go High Point. And Gonzaga beats Houston. Now, keep this in mind, chat. I'm going to fill out another bracket. I'm going to have Houston winning it all in one of my brackets. Trust me. So I do like Houston a lot. I'm going to have one with Houston winning it all. I'm going to have one with Auburn. I'm going to have one with Florida and one with Duke. I think you got to mix up your champs a little bit. And probably one with Michigan State as the 5th. So we're going to send Gonzaga to the Elite 8. I'm going to go Tennessee, and we'll go Kentucky. Let's see what we do up here. I'm going to keep St. Mary's here. You know what? Over here, I'm actually going to do New Mexico to have more chaos. Wisconsin gets by Montana. VCU beats BYU. VCU beats Wisconsin. Alabama beats St. Mary's. VCU's magical ride continues into the Elite 8. Oregon and Arizona. This time we'll go Arizona. Duke plays Arizona. We're actually going to say Arizona beats Duke. And Arizona goes to Final Four. Crazy, I know. And we will have Tennessee beat Kentucky. Should we do Gonzaga or Tennessee here? I'll send Tennessee by a small margin. And we'll do Texas Tech here. So this bracket will have Auburn winning it all over Tennessee. Two SEC clashing for the title. And there you go. There's a long shot bracket. We had a lot of chaos there. But we ended with still having a 1 seed win it all, because you still want to do that. You just want to have chaos early. You know, we got an 8 in the Elite 8. We got an 11 in the Elite 8. That's pretty risky. And we got a 12, 11, 11, and 13 in the Sweet 16. Pretty risky bracket there. You don't want to really go past that. Past that is probably too much risk if you're in a big pool. If you're in a small pool, you definitely you kind of want to do mostly chalk, honestly. All right, so there's your brackets. Filled out a couple. Like I said, I'm going to fill out all 5 that are presented to me. I'm going to have another one with Houston winning it all. I'll have another one with Florida winning it all. And I'll probably have one with Michigan State. Those are my 5 title contenders this year. I'll probably have one where there's a Cinderella in the Final Four. Maybe I haven't decided who I'm going to pick yet. Maybe VCU. I usually like to stop my Cinderellas in the Elite 8, though, just because it's a high risk to even take them that far. But we'll see. There's always somebody seated lower than 5 usually that makes it pretty far. So I might do one with Oregon making a run to the Elite 8, beating Duke. That's not a bad pick. Maybe Clemson. Clemson be a good sleeper pick all the way to the Elite 8, maybe Final Four. There's a lot of options out there. I mean, shoot, even Illinois could get hot at the right time, but we'll see. Ottenly, how we doing? Can you make one that's closest to what you think you would do, like you did last year? Oh, I think the first one I did was pretty close, but yeah, I can do that. Let's do. No, that's the wrong pool. Let's go back to my real pool here. Yeah, I'll try to do a third here. I will probably change one of the first ones that I did around, because I want to make sure I have one of each champ. But what I actually think will happen, I might change this a little bit around as more information about injuries come out. But let's do what I think will happen. So Louisville, Auburn. I do think Tritons. I really think Yale could do it here. But I'm going to save my 13 for High Point. And I'm going to keep the Tritons going here. And I like Auburn. I think Auburn's the most talented team with Duke. I kind of want to see what this game looks like tomorrow. Or is it tomorrow or the next day? If North Carolina looks really good against San Diego State, I will probably take them over Ole Miss. But for now, I'm going to keep Ole Miss. Just keep that in mind. If you're in the Discord, I'll let you know. I need to see this first 4 matchup first. If one of these teams look really good, San Diego State or North Carolina, I might take them over Ole Miss. But right now, I'm going to keep Ole Miss. And I'm going to take Iowa State just barely over Lipscomb. Boy, I really need to study this game more. I might end up flipping this. I do like Shaka Smart, but man, New Mexico is pretty dang good. And they did not have a good showing last year. You got to think that that's in their heads a little bit. Let's. Oh man, am I going to take a 10 elsewhere? Probably not. I do like New Mexico over Utah State. I'll go with New Mexico here, but I need to study that matchup more. And I like Michigan State. I like Tom Izzo in March. So I'll go Iowa State here. Somewhat chalky on that region besides the Tritons run. You want to go chalk late, upsets early, typically. Florida. And we'll go UConn here, and I do like Florida a lot. I will keep Colorado State, and we'll go Maryland here. I do like Grand Canyon, though. And Maryland, with that NBA talent, I'll keep Maryland in there. They got a lottery pick on that team. I mean, you like to pick teams with lottery picks. Can you do an ultimate upsets bracket just for fun? Yeah, I could. Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, I do like this Drake team a lot. I think it's a bad matchup for Missouri, who likes to go fast. Drake slows you down. They play outstanding defense, and they got like a Larry Bird type guy on their team. Sturts, only him and Larry Bird have put up the stats in 1 year in the Missouri Valley Conference. I think it was like, what was it? 300 points and like 100 and something assists and then like 70 steals. I guess only this guy and Larry Bird has done that before in one season. So pretty star-powered team there, and slow you down. So I'm gonna go Texas Tech. I think Calipari. I really want to see the injury report on this first, but I think Calipari sneaks this one out here. And we'll go St. John's. I like the Johnnies. There's always a Big East team that goes far every year, it seems like. I'm going to hold off on that for now. I'll come back to that. Let's go over to this side. We'll go Tennessee, UCLA, and I like Tennessee. Too much defense. This Kentucky team makes me nervous. I think they could lose to Troy. I do, but I'm going to advance them for now. Xavier's pretty hot, and Texas is battle-tested, so wouldn't shock me if they beat Illinois here, but I'm going to take Illinois. And I really don't like either of these teams. I wish they didn't have to play each other, but I'm probably going to take Kentucky. I don't want to, though, but I will. And I'm going to take Tennessee. Then we got Bama here. I like St. Mary's over Vanderbilt. Wisconsin, and I like VCU. I'm going to keep the VCU train going. I'm going to wait on the Bama St. Mary's. Let's go Duke, Baylor, and Oregon just narrowly defeats Liberty and meets Arizona. This is really a toss-up for me. Arizona and Oregon are both playing really good ball right now. So this probably comes down to the last possession of the game. You might want to Ken Palm this and see what the spread would be, honestly. And it might come down to is there an injury, But I think the safest bet is probably to pick Arizona just because Oregon does have to face Liberty. I think they're more likely to lose to Liberty than Arizona to Akron. But I do want to pick Oregon here just because Dana Altman is pretty damn good in March. But I think the safer pick is Arizona. And we'll go Duke over Baylor and Duke over Arizona here. So we do got our ones alive. I'm sure one of them will probably get knocked out, but at least you'll be getting a lot of points in the later rounds if three of your ones are still alive, right? I like Gonzaga here, and then I got like Houston, Clemson, and I'm going High Point over Purdue. Another upset here. And I do like Clemson over High Point. I think Clemson can beat Houston, but I like Houston coming out of this region. So I'm going to take Houston. I'm going to go St. Mary's over Alabama. But I might flip that later. I don't know. I have a gut feeling about it. And I think I'm going to ride. Should I ride VCU? We'll go St. Mary's as a 7. So we got a 1, a 7, a 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. And I am going to... How many Sweet 16 teams double digit do we have? I think we just have 2, right? So we're not too risky yet. Maybe we go Drake here just to keep it a little bit risky. You pick up some points if nobody has it, right? But I like the Johnnies. I don't know. I'm debating right now on what to do here. I'm gonna go Michigan State over Auburn. Well, maybe not. Auburn's one of the best teams in the country, so I'm gonna keep them there, and I'll go Duke here. So we got 3 1s, and we'll take the Johnnies. So I will end up keeping Drake there. And I just think the 2 best teams all year were Auburn and Duke. They just were. They have the most talent. Duke beat them the first time, but they were at home. It was by a small margin. And I think if they get healthy here, let's keep an eye on the injury report. If they get Malik Brown and Cooper Flagg back, I think they will beat Auburn. But I need to see the injury report come Wednesday night. So I'm going to go with Auburn right now, cutting down the nets. They were one of the best teams all year. I don't like that they lost 3 of the last 4, but I think they get right in the tournament. And there you go. So we had plenty of upsets there. We had chalk late, but we had plenty of upsets early. We did have a sleeper, so I think that's a good way to be. All right, Casey wants an upset special. Let's run through that quickly, and then I'll get to some against the spread picks. So we'll create one more. All right, upset special. This one will have Houston cutting down the nets. We'll just have them go all the way in San Antonio, but we'll have chaos going on. So we'll have Oregon beat Duke. We'll have Arizona there. VCU does its thing. Let's say Vanderbilt beats St. Mary's this time, and Bama goes through. And let's say that New Mexico wins here. Let's go Lipscomb over Iowa State. North Carolina, San Diego State winner. Let's say the Tritons, they go all the way to the freaking Elite Eight. They played Yale. Creighton beats Louisville. Creighton beats Auburn. So we got a 9 beating a 1, and we got a 12 in the freaking Elite Eight. Let's come back to that region up there. We got Florida going in against UConn. Florida goes past them. Grand Canyon upsets Maryland. Memphis, though, spread upsets Colorado State and then beats Grand Canyon. And Memphis meets Florida. Let's keep the Drake going. Texas Tech here. Drake beats them. Arkansas, St. John's. And Arkansas beats the Johnnies. And Drake goes to the Elite Eight. And Florida beats Drake. Okay. We still rolling with High Point. They'll meet Clemson. We'll go Georgia upset with Gonzaga here. Troy, David versus Goliath takes down Kentucky for upset of the tournament with Lipscomb. Wofford, the Terriers take down Tennessee. And Utah State beats UCLA. Utah State beats Wofford. We got absolute chaos on this side. This is the group of death. Everybody's just dropping like flies. Illinois takes down Troy. And Utah State keeps the magic going. So right now, in the Elite Eight, we got a 1, a 10, a 1 and 11, a 12 and a 5. There's just chaos everywhere. So, we're going to have Michigan State kind of smooth things a little bit. Get a 2 in there. Since we have 3 double digits in the Elite Eight, which is psychotic. We'll say Clemson beats High Point. We will say that, man, I kind of want this Triton team to go, so we're going to do it. So we'll have Florida beating Houston. Houston beating Florida, sorry. But the Tritons make it all the way to the Final Four. That's a 12, the first ever 12 seed to make the Final Four. And they could do it. They're good enough. And Oregon, we'll say that they meet Bama. And we'll say that Bama gets by the Ducks. So in the Elite Eight, we had 2 2s, 2 1s. But we had a 10, an 11, a 5, and a 12. Just absolute insanity. And to be honest, this isn't unheard of. I mean, this could happen. Maybe not quite as many upsets as this, but this isn't impossible. It really isn't. I mean, you maybe throw out maybe not 2 14s winning and maybe the 15 doesn't. And maybe this bracket ain't too bad. If you have this bracket and it happens, you're winning $1 million. Because not many people will have this. So there you go, the chaos bracket. And we'll say that it's about 140 is the total. And there you go, the bracket of chaos. That's dope, says Casey. Yeah, I like it too. I might actually keep it, but just change a couple of the picks. All right, let's go to against